Key Card presents Back Issue Bloodbath with your hosts, Andrew Young and Petula Neal.
You ever have one of those days where, you're just doing too much and there's a lot going on in your life and you really should just let things roll and take it easy? But then somebody comes to you and says, hey, can you do this one last thing? And you know it's not going to go well, but you say yes anyways. That's kind of what Matt Murdock went through in Trial of the Century. Welcome to Back Issue Bloodbath. I'm Andrew Young.
I'm Petula Neal.
And this week we are continuing. It's our second last episode of our House of the Devil sub-series before we take a break from that and go back to regular Bloodbath episodes to eventually return to House of the Devil at some point. For now, courage. We have a fun one today because we've talked about Brian Michael Bendis' Daredevil run on the show before. In fact, we actually looked at the first 12 issues of Brian Michael Bendis' Daredevil run all the way back during the lockdowns. So it's been a few years. This is the story that comes right after that, Trial of the Century. Now, Petula, we're specifically covering this because it connects in with the Daredevil Born Again TV series because they did their own version of the story, changing a lot of the parameters, but keeping the major players involved. Was this the first time you had read Trial of the Century?
Yeah, it was a real bummer.
It is a real bummer, yes. So you thought the TV show version was sad. This is a much sadder version. And the reason why is because where we're coming in at. Now, if you watch the TV show, Daredevil Born Again, you know that the person on trial is Hector Ayala, the White Tiger. He basically is in a bad situation. It looks like he did a crime, but he didn't commit that crime. And Daredevil, Matt Murdock, has got to get him off. Now, leading into this, as I mentioned, the first 12 issues of Bendis' run, known as the Underboss and the Out story, was a crazy tale where basically a young upstart mobster wanted to prove that he was better than the Kingpin. I believe his name was Mr. Silk. Wanted to prove he was better than the Kingpin, and he wanted to take the Kingpin out. And it almost looks like he succeeded, but he forgot that there was such a thing as Vanessa Fisk. And she basically came with a furious vengeance and took out all the people that turned on the Kingpin. The Silk, the last person standing, went to the FBI and tried to turn state's evidence by saying, I know who Daredevil is. Now, the FBI, they don't really follow up on it, but a tabloid ends up paying good money for it and outs Matt Murdock as Daredevil. And for several months, Matt Murdock is having a harder time in his life because now his identity's been outed. People are trying to come to kill him, kill people he knows. He's dealing with people that are basically saying you lied to us for years. His law practice is in question. But at the same time, he's getting this huge surge of popularity among the people of Hell's Kitchen. Some saying he's a liar, but others saying, well, he saved me. Who cares what his life is? If he's a blind lawyer, that's pretty amazing sort of thing. So it's a real weird tension in the streets of Hell's Kitchen. And the tabloid that outed him, he's dropped a big class action lawsuit against them saying, I'm suing them for false pretenses, for lying. I am not Daredevil. And at the point where it looks like they're going to settle out of court because Daredevil goes and creeps out the FBI informant who took Mr. Silk's information and took it to the tabloids, and now they don't have a source anymore. Rosenthal, the head of the Daily Globe, is set to be like, yeah, you know what? We're gonna pay this. We're gonna settle it. It's done out of court. But just because Murdock gives him like a smirk or something like that, Rosenthal says, fuck it. We're taking this to court. I don't care. So now Murdock, his life is upheaval, and he's kind of trying to stay away from the public eye. But then Luke Cage comes calling, and that's where this story begins. Luke Cage basically goes to Matt Murdock, goes to Daredevil and says, hey, me and Danny have this friend. You've seen him on the streets, White Tiger. He hasn't done the whole vigilante thing in a while, but he came back, and on the night he came back, well, a cop died in his vicinity, and he was framed for it. The cops wouldn't hear that he wasn't the one that actually killed the cop, and we need you to represent him because you are the guy. Luke Cage is very much like, you're the guy. You're the only one who can do this. And everything in Matt's body is telling him no. He knows it's not going to end well. It's going to be more of a problem because he's involved, because it'll put more of the wrong kind of eyes on the case. But Luke wears him down and he says, okay, I'll do it. And we go into a very difficult situation.
Yeah, Luke sucks for this. I think that, first of all, the way Hector is drawn in this, he's definitely much more kind of Afro-Latino presenting.
Yes.
It's like when you first see his face out of that mask, it's like, he's gonna die. Like this is like he's not even if you hadn't already told me that this had a even more depressing end than the TV show, it's like the first panel that I see homie's face, I'm like, it's over. Like, not even. Even though he legit wears like an all-white outfit and it's obvious like that there's no sort of like gun residue on his hands or like the gloves of the outfit. Like, it doesn't matter. Unfortunately, that is just the reality of the world. And I think that feeling of dread throughout the whole thing, in a way, it's grounding for Matt because all the way through he knows when he's doing well, but he's doing poorly more often than not. And that's the tough thing. His swagger, the whole being a good lawyer, he's able to use his abilities to manipulate or direct or, quickly pivot during the course of any kind of negotiation, like suss out weak points, suss out lies. But this one is a stinker from the beginning. And I feel like, again, somebody who's been jammed up like Luke kind of knows that as well. And for all we know, maybe Luke wasn't even hoping he could fully like get off, but just maybe get some kind of mitigation. Like you're really hoping for a miracle.
I think
But
it's
yeah,
also in
this
Luke's
is
mind. In Luke's mind, Daredevil is the one guy. Matt Murdock is the one guy that if he sends him to Hector, and Hector says, "I didn't do it," Matt will know. Okay, yeah, he's totally telling the truth.
he's
Whereas
telling the
any
truth.
other
Yeah.
lawyer will just think, "Okay, he's lying to me."
Yeah.
Matt knows
Yeah,
that
in
he's
that moment
not.
when Matt first talks to him, he's like, God, I hope he's lying to me. He's like, he's waiting for the skip and it's like not
And
happening.
he hates
Like,
himself for wanting that. That's the thing. It's the
yeah.
conflictedness, the classic Matt. Like it's like he wants something because make life easier, but he hates himself for wanting that.
Yeah, we're really putting the hell part, like this whole story, you're in that level of hell where you're buried in shit up to your neck. Like that's where we are with this one. It's a real bummer all the way through, but it also shows what these more kind of street level heroes have to deal with. And they're all kind of in this together, and that's why, except for, Doctor Strange, really, you don't really see anybody else coming to Hector's defense. And that's where you also see this like this tiered level between the different kind of heroes. It's like, couldn't anybody with some like more money or influence come in to help? It's like all you need to do is ask Matt, or hell, even
Well,
ask Doctor Strange.
one
Like,
other
is this guy
person,
innocent?
one other person did. Reed Richards.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Reed Richards has a classic rivalry with another hero slash anti-hero slash villain named Namor that's brought up to make his testimony suspect.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about this that really like it gets to you as you read it is that you have this DA that is just like really he's got a vendetta against Matt Murdock because he's like
Yeah.
I want to out you as Daredevil so bad like you
And
can
has also probably lost to him a bunch of
yeah
times
and that's
because of
why
all Matt's other tricks.
exactly
Yeah.
and so that's why he's like he's got a hard on for wanting to make Matt lose this. He doesn't even care about the life or death of Hector, and it
Yeah.
is actually set up in this that if Hector gets found as guilty and none of the appeals work, he could face lethal injection. That's
Yeah.
actually dropped out there. Whereas, like in this day and age, that's not something that would come up as much. But we're going back 25 years ago, where there was still some states that were really heavy on the death penalty. New York,
Well, especially
yeah,
involving a police officer, for sure.
especially involving a police officer, and also the whole cop killing thing 25 years ago, a bigger thing to the public than it is now. All these things right there make it a hotspot. But this DA, which I like to refer to as evil Al Roker, 'cause
Yeah.
he's drawn exactly like Al Roker, but evil. He is pretty much there going, I want to win this case just to rub it in Matt Murdock's face. I don't care what happens. And because of that, he goes to some heavy theatrics and charlatan tactics to not just present what is a really shitty, they don't really have a great case against Hector. Except for him being there, makes it bigger by, just like presenting the facts in a way that could lead a jury, and then also doing the classic needling of the defendant, which is why in most court cases these days you don't most times they
Yeah,
don't
you
put
don't get on the
they
stand.
don't
Yeah.
put the accused on the stand because of those kind of tactics. Because when he does get on the stand, freaking the DA says a number of things to get a rise out of him, and no matter how many times Matt told him, don't lose it, or you're going through a high stress situation where you've been in jail, which in this comic it is stated this trial takes a couple of months, a few months. It isn't done in like a few days like it is on the TV show. So being in jail for that long, worried that your wife is going to leave you, worried of the situation of what could happen to your loved ones, what could happen to the magical amulet that you can control, which is now in evidence, all of that pressure, and then coming and then being berated by evil Al Roker, you're reading it going, oh, damn it. Why'd you get so angry? But at the same time, you cannot blame this man because this man has been put through shit.
Yeah. And there is that element of the self-own, because the one question that he gets asked, it's like, well, why did you go out again? I'm sure he's thinking, well, damned if I know now. It's like, yes, it's the right thing to do, but also going out again got me in this position. Yeah. And just even like the art in this, like everything is like, it's very grotesque. The evil Al Roker, like some of the stuff they do with the way they draw his mouth, it's just disgusting.
Yeah, Manuel Gutierrez has a very it is like the peering into a character's soul almost. So that's why with the third issue is drawn by Terry Dodson, it's almost like we're giving you a happier, it's obviously because of scheduling on why Terry Dodson was brought in for the third issue of the story. But you bring in Terry and Rachel Dodson, really lightens up the look of everybody. It's not as so grim and gritty. And so you can handle what is probably the most devastating issue of the three a bit better. Whereas Manuel Gutierrez's art, it's like you're in it. You're in the hell. They make you feel like you're sitting in the courtroom and you're sweating.
Yeah. And much like many complaints of certain runs or certain episodes of the show, this is much more lawyer Matt than it is Daredevil Matt. And again, it's like Luke and Danny, it's like they took way too long to track down the guy. So you don't even have that feeling of hope that you had in the show.
Yeah.
Well, it's a bit delulu of okay, we'll find the witness to how it really went down. Like they find some people, but we don't find the actual witness to the crime until it's far too late to do anything to help Hector.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. What I do like about this story is this, as you said, it's it's a Matt Murdock story because it focuses mainly on the court. This really goes through the whole trial. Whereas a lot of trial stories in Daredevil, they'll give you the big moments or they'll give you the verdict or stuff like that. But this starts with opening remarks and ends with closing remarks. And we see all of this as it goes through. We see who the defense brings up. We see who the prosecution brings up as witnesses. And what I really liked about Bendis's run, and this story continues it, is that he did a really good job of making you feel the life of Daredevil and making you feel the day-to-day and what it was like to be in Hell's Kitchen. And yes, it did help that he was writing other books so he could cross-reference them. Of course, he was writing Jessica Jones for Marvel Max, which eventually became a regular Marvel book because he kept incorporating Jessica into the Daredevil run and stuff like that. Then also breaking in the Luke Cage relationship with Daredevil. Before this, it was, every now and then, tenuous at best, time to time. Bendis really establishes that Luke Cage and Daredevil have an unspoken trust between each other because they're street level heroes and they man the streets and they really care about the people on those streets. A character like Spider-Man, unfortunately, when I read a Spider-Man story, it's like his life moves far too fast for him that he doesn't really get to enjoy hunkering down with people outside of his close family or close friends. Whereas both Matt Murdock and Luke Cage are almost like people of their neighborhoods. They've spent time with so many different families and people that work there and things like that. They are kind of the upstanding pillars of their community outside of their superhero personas. And this run by Bendis really creates that, and it's the reason why I feel like later on you have certain characters being picked for the Netflix shows and stuff like that because of the established camaraderie between them. But even in these dark times, just seeing them play off of each other, the fact that Luke Cage is adamant that Matt has to take this because he'll know that he's innocent, but also because Luke doesn't trust anybody else. He trusts Matt to be the lawyer. And so it's all these little things that really give it the texture that some stories before and after this don't have.
I mean, one of the other reasons why I can see if I'm looking with a bit of a producer hat on, got all these different characters I could use for TV. I'd say especially both Matt and Jessica, they have day jobs. They're a lot cheaper to shoot than an action scene.
Yeah, yeah.
That also give you a great way to introduce other characters or short arcs or longer arcs that can go for the whole season that can relate to their night work as well. So with this one, and I mean, it's like it's like 3 issues. By the time you get to the last one, as you talk about, it's much prettier to help with the starkness of the verdict and the outcome. There is that moment when you get the verdict and you get all the gasps. And it's like, oh, it's like this where you get like even the gallery, like they didn't really think he was guilty deep down. But it's like it's too late then. Like
Yeah.
it's too late after the horrible thing has happened to be like, oh, wait, maybe like that he was so railroaded in that, Matt has failed in all of the ways, and that moment in the court where Foggy stops him because Matt wants to, when things go pear-shaped, go full Daredevil and like save the day, and Foggy stops him, and it's like that he lost both ways. Like he chose to protect himself instead of protecting innocence in that case.
Yeah.
And in a way, he didn't do what Hector did that night. But did Hector make the right choice ultimately?
Yeah, exactly. Now, again, people who probably watched the TV show saw a scene that went down. The scene is very different in the comic story that inspired it.
What so much worse. Yeah.
The story starts with 2 teenagers breaking into a pawn shop who obviously, at least one of them this isn't their first rodeo. They pretty much, they're living on the streets. They're stealing. That's their life. A cop shows up to stop them, and one of the teenagers has a gun, shoots him. He's dead. They're trying to rush out now. White Tiger comes in, stops the 2 assailants, but the kid then throws the TV he's carrying at White Tiger. White Tiger catches it just at that moment. They go out the back door. The backup from the police show up, see him standing there with a dead cop with a TV in his hands. Looks like he's robbing the pawn shop. They arrest White Tiger.
Not even armed robbery, actually. They make the cop drop his gun, and then they shoot him with his own gun.
That's true. You're right.
Yeah.
Yes, they shoot him with his own gun.
So this is just a burglary. It's not like an armed robbery.
Yeah. Well, it is a burglary.
The cop comes in.
Up. Yeah.
Yeah. Cop comes in with his gun drawn, is pointing it at the head of the kid holding the TV, not watching the other kid, who's the one that like throws a whole like radio at him, and that's why he drops his gun. And like from the beginning, it's like the escalation of this. It's like you're not stealing from like a Bose or a Best Buy. Like you're stealing from a pawn shop, first of all. It's like, is this like gun out of the holster activity? Or is this like flash the lights outside, stay in your car? It's like, we know what you're doing. We can see you. We'll literally follow you home. You can't like run with a TV.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
exactly.
get away. It's like there were many ways. Like this is like over aggression at all states of this.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the over prosecution of Hector for this, and the cops coming in the way they do. Well, the single cop coming in the way he does with the kids, the 2 cops coming in the way they do on Hector, and like not looking at anything obvious, again, including the fact that like a man wearing an all-white outfit is like holding a TV and not the gun.
Yeah, yeah.
Just like it's ridiculous from beginning to end, but unfortunately like one of the most realistic runs of Daredevil I've ever read, and it's like a real bummer.
Yeah, sad but true, totally. And then when we get to the court case, what I really liked about the opening statements is that they were actual opening statements. Like on TV, the opening statements usually are kind of done in this almost soliloquy and everything like that, when really for an opening statement, you're just stating what you're going to prove, and you're stating why you're going to prove that. If you can prove it because the defense doesn't have what they need, or the prosecution doesn't have what they need, if you have a particular piece of evidence that is indisputable, you bring that up. You say, these are the facts, and this is what we're going to prove. We're going to prove this. And the evil Al Roker, his whole thing is based on the defense is going to tell you this, but that's not true. The defense is going to tell you that, but that's not true. They basically, their entire case is based on saying the defense is lying, or the defense doesn't have the case. Yeah, exactly. So it's a very weak opening statement of them basically saying, they're going to tell you something. It's a lie because they really don't have anything because of the fact that the white tiger, he never held the gun. And there's no proof in any way. There's no powder burns. There's no fingerprints. There's no way to put that gun into his hand. The only thing they have is a blood splatter, the cop's blood on his outfit, which is later proved there's several ways that blood can end up on your attire during that kind of moment. And so then Matt gets up and basically states out that we're going to prove that he never held the gun and that he was trying to do his job as the white tiger. Like what he set out there to do is out there actually to help people and that there were other people involved. The problem is Matt can't prove that there were other people there.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the proof. As you mentioned, Luke Cage and Danny Rand try to go out and get it, but by the time they go out to get it, the two kids that were robbing, they're not in New York anymore because one of them was from Chicago. So they went to Chicago.
Yeah, skip town, which makes sense. Like you killed a cop in New York, you get out of New York.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then on the other side, everything that the prosecution presents, Matt is able to poke holes into it because they do a piss poor job because everybody thinks, oh, it's an open and shut case. Because we found somebody on the location. He was a superpowered individual. So obviously he killed him. And like the forensic scientists didn't even get an expert to look at the magical amulet and figure out what it was, or to find out what kind of powers the white tiger has, and just assumes, oh, if he has a magical amulet that works for him.
Yeah, he can use telekinesis to shoot the gun.
Exactly. So what Matt does is he brings in Doctor Strange, which is what they usually do, but didn't do this time. He brings Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange explains the origins of the magical amulet and how the Sons of the Tiger were each granted a magical amulet, and they only work for their bloodlines and all that sort of stuff. And what it does, that it just kind of gives you, it's like a super soldier serum. It gives you enhanced physical abilities. Whatever you are physically, it will make you better. And that's it. And then the only other thing that the prosecution has is the eyewitness testimony of the 6 cops that showed up after the fact, not seeing the cop get killed, just seeing the cop dead. And that's it. That's really much all they have for their case. Now, in the defense part, Matt brings up Reed Richards as a superhero expert. And at first, prosecution fights it, saying, oh, he has nothing to do with this. He doesn't know Hector Ayala. He doesn't know him at all. Why is he involved in this? And he's like, well, he's a superhero expert. If we were talking about a medical thing, we could bring in a medical expert. And on paper, I was like, well, that's a really good attempt. You're not only just bringing in a superhero expert, you're not bringing in a vigilante off the street. You are bringing in arguably the most famous superhero in the Marvel Universe. The guy that is the super scientist, is a celebrity, is a superhero, has been to other worlds, basically has a amazing resume.
Yeah. Is a business owner, like an employer as well. Yeah.
Like it is such a smart witness to have as to give expert testimony. It was like when I saw that, because I had forgotten that part when I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, no, that's perfect. Reed breaks down that it's like, hey, there are superheroes like me who don't hide their identity, but the ones that do, they're protecting their families. They don't have a bunch of money like I do. They don't have ways to protect their families, that are like amazing contraptions and everything. They have to worry about people finding out who they are to take them out and be their family. And the prosecution paints him into a corner saying that just because you're a superhero doesn't mean you can't turn bad. And Reed is basically saying, well, in my experience, no, that's not true. I've dealt with tons of heroes and they've remained heroes and blah, blah, blah. And then he starts needling away and he gets Reed to mention Namor, who in the Marvel universe to the people has kind of never been seen as a hero, has been seen as a superhuman who, hey, in World War II, he did some nice stuff for us, but what has he done for us lately? Kind of thing. And so that gives enough doubt to your average juror. And then finally, when he gets him on the stand, he needles him until he kind of flips out and is like, basically says, I've given everything to you people to protect you. Like he basically, Hector comes to the point where he's essentially saying in much better words than this, fuck off.
Yeah.
And it makes him look bad in the eyes of the jury. When we get to the actual deliberation, I like that Matt and Foggy are up on the roof because Matt is
listening to it.
He's listening not only to it, but he's experiencing everything at the same time. It's like he is hearing the jury deliberate. He is hearing Hector in his cell. Sobbing because his wife has walked out on him. Because the main thing that his wife didn't want was for him to go back to being the white tiger. And so she has left him. He hears on the street journalists that are turning this into a spectacle, not
Mhm.
caring about the blood, flesh and blood people involved, but caring about, ooh, the big story we can tell of the vigilante who went bad and all that sort of stuff. And I love that moment because Matt is there. It's almost like Matt is numb because he doesn't know what to do in the situation. He's just sitting there, just taking it all in and hearing that one of the jurors lied when the jury was being picked and actually hates vigilantes because her son got arrested because Spider-Man stopped him. You feel bad for Matt. You feel bad for Hector because also Matt is watching Hector and seeing Hector's life fall apart before his eyes and seeing it as the bad omen of, if I lose this case with the tabloid, my life could be just as screwed as his. And it's deep, it's well written, it's so Daredevil, it's so New York Marvel. But yeah, it is a kick to the dick.
It's heartbreaking. Yeah. Thank God it's only 3 issues. Yeah. I couldn't have taken any more than that.
Yeah, yeah. So whereas on the TV show, Hector got a not guilty verdict. The verdict here is guilty. And the foreman of the jury is almost very smug when he says it. It's almost like you would think that he was on the same bowling league as evil Al Roker prosecution, like they're chummy chummy. Because this again, even though this is the more prettier drawn one, you still see that kind of glint in their eyes. That is one bad thing on top of that. And Foggy right away is trying to tell Hector, it's like, hey, listen, they actually don't have that much. We can appeal this, and there's a good chance you will get off. But Hector has now lost everything. And so he reacts and he ends up pulling a gun off a cop, and the entire court goes into upheaval. And as you said, Matt is going to jump in, but Foggy tells him, no, don't do it. This is just going to bring you in. You're gonna go down with him. And he ends up on the steps of the courthouse. So it's an even bigger spectacle than the media thought it could be. And he's gunned down. In this case, Hector is fridged because the whole reason of bringing this character who hadn't been used for a long time is a living allegory for Matt to go, this could be your life. So this is what you have to worry about. And it's done in an amazing way, but essentially that's what it is.
Yeah. It would, of course, make Matt think, like, is it worth it to even keep doing Daredevil things?
Yeah.
But also, is it even worth it to keep doing my day job things? Like, this one would hit all parts of him of just, is it worth it to all to fight, like, a corrupt system or to
Yeah.
save these people? Like this, jury of 12, any of them could be in trouble one night. And it's like, if I was Daredevil and like the lady on the jury that lied to get on it so that she could stick it to a vigilante, if someone was stealing her purse, I'd be like, girl, go cancel your cards because it couldn't be me.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want us around, so why should we
Yeah.
help, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the one thing I forgot to mention earlier, because I just want to bring this in, the whole reason why Rosenthal from the Daily Globe did not drop his case is because Matt went out, held a press conference, and called him a liar. So the Daily Globe is lying to you. I'm not Daredevil. And so heated tensions, like it's very much the heated tension that the DA has of really wanting to stick it to Matt Murdock because he wants to prove he's Daredevil. So he wants this case to go badly for him. It is very much like Rosenthal, who just wants to continue his lawsuit against Matt Murdock because he feels like, well, you called me a liar. So I've got to beat you. And so it's this level of these, like this, I had forgotten how much at least the first 20 or 30 issues of Bendis's run focused on how the regular people in the world can also be villains.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, it's Mr. Silk, who's just like a lower mob guy, FBI agent who sells the information about Matt Murdock to the tabloid not letting it go. This DA who has a hard-on for Matt Murdock and how he might be Daredevil, so he's got to destroy the White Tiger. The jury itself and how there was enemies within. I really hadn't noticed before how much the common man is the villain in this story, that these are the people that are taking Daredevil and other supers out in Bendis' run. It's not Mysterio or the Kingpin. It's these lower tier people who you wouldn't expect to have power.
Yeah. I mean, they do at least try to give the wife a bit of wiggle room, but her just being like, nah, I'm out. Like when things start breaking bad, it's like she was going to divorce him anyway, because like this was her deal breaker and he broke that deal. Like, forget about the cop of it all. If she just come home one night to see him slipping in the window in the outfit, like this was like her, this is not happening anymore, sir.
Yeah.
Like, stop it. And he couldn't stop.
Yeah,
So,
I don't really blame her. It's just unfortunate timing is what it
yeah.
is.
But yeah, you always see these examples of, and in this case, you really can't win as the wife. It's like if you stay, you're Delulu or supporting somebody who, forget about everybody else, broke their commitment to you,
Yeah.
or you're judged for like not supporting them in their time of need. So like there was no win for her either.
No, of
Like
course
this is
not.
just like a bummer across the board. And then the denouement, the button, I'm like, first of all, if I was that accomplice kid, I would just be like, listen, sucks for him, but he got away with it. Like it's gonna be extra horrible for me, but like, and I'd say that's the least realistic part about it is like at the end that the kid goes and allegedly, I mean, we don't get to see like the fallout of it, like turns
Mm,
himself in as like the
yeah.
witness. Cause like they weren't the one that did it. They were holding the TV when it happened.
Yeah. I think that was there to very much really drive home it's too late.
Yeah.
All the terrible things have already happened, sort of
Yeah.
thing.
I don't know if it was
Justice
supposed to
cannot be had. Yeah.
restore my faith in people at all, but it didn't.
No, I
'Cause
feel
it's
like it's more,
yeah.
it's not written there to restore faith. I think it's more to be written to be like, look, sometimes justice can't be had.
Yeah.
Even if you wait too long to say you're sorry, it's not going to matter.
Because he was in court during the verdict.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think that that wasn't to make you feel better. That was to make you feel worse. That was to make you go, yeah, no. And even that, it is a dark story. It's a dark story that's used perfectly to set up several Daredevil stories after that. And it's told extremely well. But yes, it's heartbreaking. It's sad. It would make any Matt Murdock want to just take his tights, throw them in the trash and walk away.
But it's also the kind of story that's like, well, let's not judge Matt for taking pleasure when he can in other stories.
True.
Because if this is what so much of your life is like, then where you can find a bit of joy, take it.
Yeah, because where the story goes from here is that he meets actually his future wife, Mila, who is also blind, and she becomes a major part of the story going forward. So thankfully, Bendis didn't come with a really like shit on story on Matt Murdock immediately after this one. Gives him at least a little bit of reprieve, gives him something to live for shortly after this. And you do feel like when that happens, you're like, oh, that's kind of good. It's been kind of dark here for the past year and a half. So of course it gets dark again pretty quickly, but it really makes you appreciate those little pockets of light.
Yeah.
But overall, I think it's a pretty good story. And, if you definitely are interested in reading what the comic book version of the trial was like, check out Trial of the Century.
Yeah. I would only recommend this as a tool to win an argument when people talk about comics being too political.
Oh, yeah. They've always been doing it.
Yeah. There's so many examples, but this is a great one in terms of, most of the people behind it, the character they're using, everything else. It's like, well, here's one of your faves, and here's the kind of stories they had.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
no, definitely.
Yeah. It's a great. Well, actually,
we come to the end of another episode of Back Issue Bloodbath and House of the Devil. Petula, where can the good folks find you?
At nhf.com, on social things at Obesacantawit, OBESACNTAVIT, and here with you.
Of course, you can find everything I do over at geekhardshow.com. Follow me on social things at geekhardshow, or you can follow me personally on Instagram at Andrew_of_geek_hard. Follow this very show on Facebook at Back Issue Bloodbath, where we post a new episode every week. But to make sure you don't miss an episode, go to where you pick up your podcasts. Go to your podcasting platform of choice. Subscribe to our podcast there, and that way you won't miss a week. We come out every week, people, and it'll just come right to you. And that's sometimes what you want. You want people to come to you. And so we're willing to come to you. This has been Back Issue Bloodbath. I've been Andrew Young.
I've been Petula Neal.
Have yourself a good.